Good, beautiful morning. Welcome to another Brunch with Bree. Today, I am really excited to share about how to nurture your spiritual growth. And I'm going to share different techniques, different ideas that you can nurture your own spiritual growth, regardless of where you're at on your journey. So if you are just starting out and you're kind of lost how to even begin, or you just begin, and you're just touching the surface, I've got tips for you. If you are, kind of an intermediate practitioner, I've got tips for you to keep, expanding, keep growing. And if you are advanced and you've been on this, you've been aware of your spiritual journey and you've done a lot of different things to enhance it, I've also got some tips for you to just, there's always time and capabilities to keep nurturing that spiritual growth. So I've got tips and tricks for everybody, no matter where you're at on your spiritual journey. And if you know where you're at on your spiritual journey, that is even better. There's quite a few people who have, no idea where they're at, or they've, like I said, just started. So the most important thing about nurturing your spiritual growth is no matter where you're at, where you start, you have to know your intentions. What are your intentions for the spiritual journey? What is your intention for growing? It could be one intention. It could be a combination of intentions. So to give you some examples, is it to understand more about yourself? Is it to understand more about the spiritual world? Is it to heal emotional, mental, and physical ailments? Is it to co-create your reality with the divine? Is it to understand and to practice surrender? Is it to be a mystic and a healer? Only you really can define your intentions, and it doesn't matter what they are. It doesn't have to fit into any of those examples either. It could be all of those examples at once. Everything is as limitless as your imagination. But you just want to make sure you set an intention first, because as Jordan B. Peterson said, if you have no aim, you have no hope. So the important first step is set your intention. And it could be setting an intention for the day, for your prayer or your meditation. It could be setting an intention for the week, the month, the year, the rest of your life. These intentions can grow, they can evolve, they can change. It doesn't matter. And you can either, set them kind of once and let it go, or set it once before a meditation or a prayer, or keep setting them throughout the day and just be in that reality. So for those who kind of want some steps and some actual tools beyond setting an intention, the first one is we need some self-exploration. What does this look like for beginners? Start reflecting, exploring your beliefs, your values, experiences. Kind of explore how they've been shaping your perception of the world. Maybe where these values and beliefs came from. Have they come from your culture? A religion you grew up in? A religion you grew up without? Different things that happened in school? Just different life circumstances. How have these different things shaped your values and your world? For people already in the practice, you can dive deeper into introspection. You can start questioning your assumptions, challenge your limiting beliefs, seek inner clarity. And you can do this a lot through mindfulness practices and just being aware of your thoughts and aware of how things come and go and your reactions to them. Just start to ponder and question. Without questioning, there can be no answering. Those who are already very self-aware, explore the depths of your consciousness and explore that outside of this physical 3D body. Explore it in what I like to call the void. Other people call it the friendly darkness. I know Dr. Joe calls it the unknown or dark space. I believe he just says go into the darkness. And only when you shed everything that is physical and in this 3D world can you find everything that is just your soul. The next tool is absolutely meditation. And for beginners who have never meditated, there are so many valuable beginning meditations of so many different types on YouTube. It's a valuable resource. There's so many introductions to all sorts: loving compassion, transcendental, mindfulness. Oh, geez. I've actually got a whole training video on it from a few months ago. If you need it, just send me a DM or leave me a comment. I'll go back and I'll send you that training video of, I do 6 different types of meditation I'm really very passionate about. And I did a whole month's worth of training on the different types, what they're used for, what they're great for, and how to do them. So if you need any of those, let me know. For people who are intermediate meditators, have you explored different techniques? Like I just said, there are so many different, I think there's over, I don't even know how many different types of meditation there is, but I'm learning about new types almost every month. So there's tons, and choose the one that you feel the best with, you learn, you explore the most with. Adapt and practice to your evolving needs and your evolving soul. There's no right or wrong way to meditate. Just remember, set your intention ahead of time. For advanced meditators and advanced spiritual journeyers, deepen your meditation practice. This can include retreats, advanced techniques, different techniques, courses, classes, coaches. All of that can really help you deepen your meditation. And I don't think there's ever a time when we have reached the pinnacle, because there's always more to explore. That's why there's certain Tibetan monks that spend their whole life perfecting and growing and getting deeper and losing more and more of this physical 3D self. There's people who have gotten so advanced they can do remote viewing, they can time travel, because when you go to nowhere, where there is no time, there is no place, there is no space, you can actually access all time, all space, everywhere, anybody. So it's really cool. But you can keep pushing it and keep growing and keep creating. There's just no end to the possibilities with your meditation practice on your spiritual journey. Another important one for a lot of people is, prayer and connection. It's going to be similar to meditation. The approaches to prayer is a little different. And one time I really thought, well, what's the difference between prayer, meditation, and hypnosis? Because I'm certified in hypnosis. I've gone to a meditation retreat. I grew up praying, but what are the big differences? And I don't think I've done a live on the differences of those 3. So if you want to know, drop me a comment, and I would love to do a live on what I found. Turns out there's not too many opinions I found so far on this. So drop opinion on what you think is the difference. I would love to see your comments. But if you are beginning in prayer, and this is going to be probably more for people who have a certain religious deity or God that they pray to, meditation is going to be a little different, as in you understand that the divine, you're a part of it and it's within you. Prayer is also can be similar. It's just a different approach. It's more outward and upward, where meditation is more inward. But you can establish a simple prayer routine or meditation routine, whichever calls to you. Use this to connect with your higher power. And there is no wrong or right way. I'm not saying meditate over prayer, prayer over meditation. Whatever is the way that you connect with the divine, that's what works for you. We're individual people. We are individual souls. So there's no right or wrong way. But you can use this prayer to seek guidance and express gratitude. I love prayer just kind of as a way to say thank you to the divine for bringing things into my life, whether I've asked for them or not, or asked for them and it showed up in a different way. For people who have been praying for a while, but maybe don't feel that deep in it, explore different types of prayer, whether that's going to be in silence, with groups, churches. There's many different types of prayer. You can burn incense, candles, and really just connect within. For advanced prayers, there we go. Advanced prayers, just try to change your prayer to a really heart-centered practice where you commune directly with the divine, instead of just putting it out there and hoping he hears you, or she, or whoever your divine is, and just start to commune and be so thankful and surrender your human ego. And that gets me into another huge skill, tool, tip for your spiritual growth. I am sure you have heard me talk about this, but gratitude. For beginners, where do you start? Of course you're grateful when you get a present and something shows up in your life that you've asked for. But what if you start to acknowledge the small blessings aside from the things you receive that you've asked for? Just acknowledge small blessings like, oh, it's a beautiful day. I am so blessed to experience it. Or I can walk today. I'm grateful for that. And if you can't walk, be grateful that you are able to live this human experience. Sometimes it's really hard when we're in pain, when we are immobile, when we're mentally or emotionally distressed. But we came here because that is a specially human trait and experience, is this pain and suffering. So we actually came here to be human, to experience these pains and these griefs and these losses and this hurt. So trying to switch your mind to be grateful for the opportunities, and instead of viewing them as challenges, maybe see how they could be an opportunity for you. For people who are a little more versed in gratitude, you can cultivate a profound sense of gratitude. Go even further into exploring different challenges that we face in life as huge opportunities. And really, what can we learn and how do we grow? For people pretty good at this, let's go into your advanced gratitude givers. Live in perpetual gratitude. Be so grateful for your future that your body believes it's already living in it. So a perpetual state of gratitude. It's more of a heart-centered thing than a brain-centered thing. It is really feeling grateful for each and everything, whether it's good or bad. And it's really going to become more about observing your thoughts from a mindfulness matter. Observing your feelings without judgment, letting them come and go as part of the human experience. So that is kind of an example of what it means to live in perpetual gratitude, is being grateful for all the emotions, all the thoughts, all the experiences, and doing it without judgment and just being grateful for the experiences. Another huge one that really helped myself, and I know it helps a lot of others on their spiritual growth journey, is service and compassion. And I know there's many different programs and religions and just a ton of different philosophies that talk about service. There's a reason when you do something for others, you really step outside of yourself. So let's say you've got a really busy life. You're working full time. You've got a full family. Life is just happening. It's very busy. It's very present. You don't feel like you have time to really step out of your way to help others. But you can start in really small ways. It can be as simple as leaving positive messages on, strangers' social media, or texting an old friend some words of encouragement and love, just checking up on somebody even, just out of the blue, say, hey, I was thinking about you. I know I do that quite a lot. And it's happened where, it was kind of a synchronicity, or, the universe sent that message when it was very needed. So that could be something really small. It takes 30 seconds to search a name and send, hey, been thinking about you. How are you? It's been a while. For people who have a little bit more awareness of service and have understood how to give a little more of their time in the service field, you can really engage in selfless service and do it without attachments to the outcomes. A good example is I would love to volunteer at the food bank. There was no real outcome. I went and said, where do you need me? And usually it would be going through produce, throwing out the produce that was, not, if they said, how do you know what produce to give, to people who are in need? If you wouldn't eat it yourself, don't give it to somebody else. And I felt like that was such a beautiful way of learning how to sort through produce. Then again, I probably would eat more damaged produce than a lot of people, but it was a really spiritually growing experience. And this was way before my NDE. This has just been really a part of what I've loved to do. I've always loved to find a volunteer opportunity. And I never really had expectations. And I noticed other people who did would just be devastated and not want to volunteer again because they had certain expectations. And it was kind of sad to see. But I also decided early on that there is no such thing as altruism. Altruism is doing something for nothing in return. And let me tell you, the return that my soul had and the feelings I had knowing I was making a small difference was huge. It wasn't monetary. It wasn't recognition. It was just soul fulfillment. And that is definitely something in return. For people who have a great service practice, just keep doing it, I guess. Serve humanity with love and humility. And I know some people who are part of this group who give hours of their day every day. I think a lot of them are retired and their kids are grown, so that helps. But, even people who aren't retired, who are in the thick of things, will still give part of their days and part of their time to different causes. And it doesn't matter what cause. If you are passionate about healing, there are healing groups around all over social media you can join. If you are passionate, if you had a hard upbringing and you weren't very close with your parents, there are mentorship programs where you get to basically have a kid, inspire this child next to you. And they've got different ages, different mentorship, partnership programs. It's so inspiring. You can sew pillows for cancer patients, volunteer at the food bank. There's just so much, whether it's mobile food delivery or sorting produce. The list really goes on and on and on. I could do a whole live just about different volunteer opportunities, but find one that makes sense, that calls to your soul, and get involved. If you don't have an hour or two a day, maybe an hour a week, do a family thing, volunteer your whole family and have a bonding experience with your family on the weekend. I loved seeing different families come into the food bank and different volunteer opportunities to just spread a little compassion, a little selflessness, a little hope. It was beautiful. Another thing is you can really immerse yourself in the creative process. So being creative is really a connection to our soul, our consciousness. And our soul and our consciousness is one of the same. We have two different names for it. We have two different opinions about it. But when I had my near-death experience, I was pure consciousness, and I understood that was my soul. So use your creative expression. For beginners, explore creative outlets. What's your passion? Explore art, music, writing, poetry, painting, pottery, wood turning. Oh my gosh, I found wood turning in my teenage years. I bought myself a lathe later on, but it unfortunately broke in the move, and I am not a mechanic and cannot fix it, unfortunately, but I loved wood turning. So express your inner world through art. I also love neurographia. I have talked a little bit about it. It's a fairly new art style, I think just in the last decade or so, where it looks like neural pathways of the brain when you're done. And there are so many different adaptations already. So if you want to know more about Neurographia, send me a comment, send me a DM, and I will give you the down low. It has been a really interesting new type of art form for me. And it's really supposed to help you work through different obstacles. For people who are already artistic or have explored their creativeness, you can use it as a spiritual practice. You can use it as meditation. You can use it as a connection to God and the divine. You can use it as a connection with yourself. Advanced people on this journey, in the art journey, I don't know if, yeah, it looks like you're still on here, Elizabeth. I think, Elizabeth, you do a great job at using art to connect to your spiritual self, to your creative self, to overcome obstacles that you're facing. So huge inspiration. And if anyone wants to see some of her artwork, there was a piece she made that I'm just absolutely obsessed with. I guess she was inspired after watching one of my podcasts about my near-death experience. And there's a lot that I got from it, and she didn't even communicate with me first. So she just said, yeah, I was doing this, and I was in this zone, and made this piece of art, and it was beautiful. So I had to buy it in a towel form because I'm obsessed with water. So thank you for sharing that again, Elizabeth. It's so powerful. There's another friend of mine who, after speaking about some different challenges and obstacles in her spiritual journey, she created a song inspired by our conversation, and it reached the top of her playlist almost, I think, overnight or within a couple of nights. So that was really cool to see too. And just having people use art as a way to overcome obstacles and connect to their spiritual creative selves is so amazing to see. Another thing is, if you're able, nature is so powerful. And yet us as humans just really want to be in control over it. And I think it is the funniest phenomena, with all these forest services trying to, regulate burns and beetle kill and this and that, and just seeing subdivisions, and, we wipe the land, we strip the land just to build houses on it and our own variety of trees and plants and grasses and whatever. And it's just really kind of an interesting phenomenon. We've been doing it for a very long time. But you can, if you're on the beginning of your spiritual journey, try engaging with nature a little more. And if you are in a city, in the suburbs, just sit in your grass, and I'm sure you will see little bugs crawling around. It's beautiful, at least in the US, on this side of the country or the world. We are entering summer, and the bugs are popping. They're alive. The babies all have basically been born now, and it's a beautiful time of rebirth. So you can go and look at blooming flowers and the leaves and the fruit on trees, and just be in awe. Just try to be in awe. If you've never been in awe by nature before, be in awe. Those who are more intermediate on their journeys, deepen this natural connection. Have you meditated or prayed outside? Have you really observed the cycles of nature? And I just mentioned it's going into summer, and rebirth has happened through spring, and the water is flowing. The farm animals all have little babies, and there's tons of bugs, and everything is really growing and coming out of the darkness and the coldness and the internalness of winter. So honor the earth and the divine, and notice and appreciate where everything has come from. For those advanced spiritual seekers, have you thought about your oneness with nature? I'm sure if you're quite far on your journey, you have, and you can understand how just beautifully and divinely intertwined we all are, what does that look like for you? What does that feel like? Have you, I don't know, I just want to know some of your practices. I know someone very close to me, we lost our keys. Well, we didn't. A loved one of ours lost their keys up hiking in the mountains, in the snow. And this other loved one, we went up to help this person look for their keys, and she asked the trees for help. She was very in tune with nature, and she said, the trees will show me the way. Sure enough, she was the one who found the keys in the snow. It was quite amazing. So do you understand and realize your oneness with nature? Do you see the divine in everything, in every leaf, in every rock, in every breeze, in everything? So those are kind of my big tips and tricks and tools for nurturing your spiritual growth, no matter what part of the journey you are on. And big thing, though, is really embrace your power of choice. No matter what happens to you, you always have the freedom to choose how you react to it and how you respond. You can always choose joy, or you can choose despair. You can select love, or you can choose hate. You can select forgiveness or revenge, growth or stagnation. A crisis evokes either the best or the worst in us, but it is your choice. And if you're not very far into your self-awareness journey and you're still learning, that's okay. We are programmed. We run on 95% programs by the time we are 35. And we are programmed from the day we are born, between culture, family, religion, society, media, schools, the list just goes on and on and on. So if you're still trying to break out of those programs, the next important thing is to have compassion, self-compassion, self-forgiveness. We are all here to learn. If you fall back into the traps that we call life, just pull yourself out of it. Give yourself grace. Understand it's a journey. It's a learning education. But the important thing is to have self-compassion and compassion for others. You can't just be, I forgive myself for falling into these old patterns and these old traps. But, you should be perfect. So make sure you have compassion for yourself and others. Last thing I want to leave you with today is I swear it's my catchphrase. It's probably been my catchphrase for a year now after a life-changing meditation retreat. Jump into the unknown. What does that mean? Well, everything right here is known. And your spiritual journey is not about diving into the known. Doesn't that sound kind of boring? No, the divine lives in the unknown, and it is waiting for you. So jump into the unknown, let go, have fun, see what happens. So that is all I have for you today on tips and tricks and tools on nurturing your spiritual growth, your spiritual journey. And if you want to learn more about my role as a death doula, what I've learned on the deathbed of others, what I learned from my near-death experiences, some profound lessons, as well as facing my own mortality from a young age. A lot of spiritual growth, actually, in very kind of morbid ways, I feel. I actually don't feel like they're morbid anymore. I think they're super cool, but other people might think they're morbid. But I am so honored to be able to give an hour-long presentation followed by a 30-minute Q&A with IANDS groups and events. The link should be on this live. It is July 6th. 1 p.m. Eastern Standard, 11 a.m. Mountain Standard. And for non-members, it's only $10. So this is a beautiful way to get immersed into a different type of spiritual growth. We can explore spirituality through death, but death only means you're shedding this 3D self. So I look forward to it, and I really hope to see you there. And I will see you next week.